Talked with the fellow down there that works down there. Works in that building right there by the substation.
Yep.
He acts like maybe a manager. Works the first wing. Very important, very informative. Answer all kinds of questions. I think that building, he said, was 31 feet. And the nearest tower, it may not be that far. I can't remember. And he said that, you sit right here, buddy. I'll watch your back.
So how could you hear him?
Oh no, well, they weren't. You could hear them. You get out of the truck and sit right underneath them. But I mean, they weren't. He said that inside that building, within the last 2 or 3 years, he's probably heard them maybe 5 times.
Really?
The only time that he'd hear them is when the ice on the way through, they're a lot noisy.
Yeah.
So,
Is that the guy that's going to do our stuff with our cleaning?
he was telling me that, I was telling him that he was saying that the fellow who lives in Eastbrook that is about 4,100 feet. What's his name? I don't know. His first name is C.A. and what his last name is.
Oh, yeah, that's having a real hard time.
You see, son?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Welcome, everybody. I'd like to know who the bearded wonder is in the white rocking chair back here. Okay. That's Fred? Okay, all right. Glad to see you, Fred. Hope you're doing well. Okay. It looks like we have piles of paper here that I had all organized this afternoon, and I've got a handful more. Before we start, but I would like to say and go back and revisit our meeting procedures. We voted on this a bit ago. We had meeting procedures for Select Board and Planning Board that are consistently the same, and I want to reiterate to everybody that if you are on the agenda, 5 minutes, right here, when my timer comes out, it is not going to be the last Select Board meeting that we had that was pretty chaotic. So please bear with all of us. 5 minutes to present, synopsis of what you'd like to say. There is public access at the end, and that again is 5 minutes for each person, with a total minutes of 30 for time frame. We have a lot to discuss. We have several special guests. Rusty, welcome. Glad to have you here at our meeting. Okay, first thing on the agenda is to approve the minutes of the April 16th, 2014 minutes to review. I trust that everybody had opportunity to pick up their packets and go through the minutes. Yes? Yes, hopefully. Okay. And do I have a motion to accept the minutes?
I move that they accept the minutes.
Second.
Discussion. Any discussion? Steph, do you have any discussion on minutes?
Well, like you guys had all seen an email that I had sent, you know, when Kathy sent it out to see if there was anything missing. I did add some things to the Mike Bamford section because, you know, it seemed like it didn't really say in here what his claim was. You know, and I just thought that that's what the minutes were supposed to do, is state what happened and what was said. So that was my piece.
Okay, okay.
And I can certainly go back and redo them, but not only would Mike's comments be there, there's going to be Debbie's and
Right.
the audience. But, I mean, that hasn't been how we've done the minutes.
I did go back and review the video, and the part of it is, and the ultimate portion of the meeting that ended up was nothing that was concrete. It indeed was a lot of hearsay. I understand concerns, and you had every right to bring them. But we have a video to review. I think in trying to recall what was said, it's best to go back and see the video because, you know, the suggestion that you had of colluding and things was not in what he said. But that's, you know, we all try to go back and recall what was done. I see no reason to be further in detail. We are not obligated to do minutes. We have a video and we have a basic interpretation of concerns. So my suggestion is that we leave them as is. Any other discussion? Okay, we have a vote on the floor. All those in favor? All those opposed? Okay, unanimous. Okay, the second on the table is, before we do that, I just would like a little clarity just about minutes and the matter for the Select Board to decide. The Select Board can direct the Secretary to include certain details in the minute, but that direction should come from the Select Board itself, not just one member. So this is for all of us to remember that when we have things, we need to, this is where we do the deciding. This is what happens in our select meetings. So just keep that. That's for every one of us to remember. Special Selectmen's meeting, this is of May 8th. This is what I was referring to before. Has everybody had an opportunity to read these minutes of our Special Selectmen's meeting on May 8th, 2014? That was at 10 a.m. in the morning.
I just got this right now, so I haven't had a chance to read it.
Okay. On it was to accept the citizens petition from Paula and Jessica. I think the votes were there. A public motion was made for a public hearing on May 27th, which is going to happen. Also to accept the land use ordinance changes. There was discussion because inadvertently the vote for the land use ordinance, we found out after conferring with attorney and conferring with Maine Municipal that this was more likely an ordinance for a zoning than just a plain ordinance, so confusion arose from recommendation of legal with us. It was decided that the vote should stay for the citizens petition on June 10th because that was how it was worded to say, and the people that had signed it had no say in changing the date or changing the document. So vote was put to have that on the 10th and the other one on July 1. The bottom part of this is public access, and I do know that this is on there in a request to be looked at. This came from Julie and Peter and Julie Beckford. They had concerns, and this was concerns as well about the 4,000-foot setback from property lines. This is on the video. I was not able to see it because there was a sound issue when I was listening to them because he didn't pass in a document that became public record. So in the video it's very unclear, but I do know this is what Kathy took from the minutes. Had concerns about the land use ordinance being gutted. The citizens will lose their protections. The Shirley Wind victims is a video that we've had submitted to us before, but he gave a copy to each of the select board. Had an issue with the planning board uses their consultant. They felt he is for wind. There was a concern. This is a particular one that I'd like to address because this was asked to be put on the agenda. A concern of the meeting held in the town at the Clifton Baptist Church sometime in January 2014 for the purpose of promoting wind in the town of Clifton that Bruce Jellison, Bill Rand, and Paul Fuller attended. They felt this was unethical. They said the planning board clearly states that under no circumstances should they be meeting with a developer and requesting us to look into this. They want to find out who was there, what the content was of the meeting, and also know what the board is going to do about it. So, discussion about that. I was at that meeting. It was a meeting that was billed and directed from, I do know from Sean. You want to speak to that? Because you were...
Yep. I think it was sometime in November, December, when my husband and I were home just talking about the town financing and whatnot. He and at one of our meetings we had talked about business coming to town, and my husband said we should really look at getting a group together to talk about business and getting business to the town. Well, he talked to some of his friends that have businesses. It got back to Fred, I think, and I don't know how to Paul, but originally that's what that meeting was, to see what we can do in this town to get some business. Simple as that.
I mean, I don't know what else to do with it. There was an there was a comment in here about something being unethical. I spoke at the meeting and it was in relation to business and income for our town because I had recently been at a meeting in Augusta that was to hear a proposed ordinance or amendment or a bill that was going to take $40 million out of revenue sharing, which is going to affect the 429 municipalities in our state. So that information was shared of how our operation of our town works, with that revenue being part of how we look at school commitments, taking care of our roads, a bond issue that was on there for clean water. So all of those things were relayed there. So I don't feel there was anything unethical. The presence of people there, it was public. Nothing was discussed that was anything that was about a petition or anything that, I mean, an application or anything that was, there was no application to discuss. It was nothing that was there. So that's my take on it. I don't feel there's anything that needs to be responded to. I've talked to our attorney. He doesn't feel as well that there is something because there was nothing that was done that was incorrect. Because their presence was there. One of them is now resigned, is no longer there. The other gentleman, Mr. Jellison, is a business owner. that's my take on it. The last issue was concerning conflict of interest with Stephanie on the board concerning wind power and that she'd be able to vote. With that discussion, a motion was made that Stephanie not be considered to have a conflict of interest concerning wind power and that she be able to vote. It was established that the current ethics policy for the town was voted on and accepted as a work in progress according to minutes from a select board meeting in 2005. This would still be a policy. A motion was made to adjourn. So that's the special minutes meeting, selectmen's meeting. Do I have a motion to accept?
Move the acceptance is written.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor? All those abstain? One abstain? Okay. All right. Next on the agenda, we have some guests. Rayanne Smith, Rayanne isn't here, but she did present a concern about trash from trash containers on her property. And we have some lovely pictures, digital pictures. She's on Getchell Road, the corner of Getchell Road and Brooks Lane. But I think it's a pretty consistent issue. That I think because of our trash coming in on Monday, a lot of people put their trash out the night before. We all know that hungry crows are ever present. She's got some pretty incredible pictures of boxes, cardboard, trash blowing back into bushes, the ditch. I mean, it's pretty nasty. It's pretty similar to what you see across the Department of Transportation lane down here on Route 9. But that's kind of a picture of what she's talking about. So, what we do about it?
What can we do about it?
Well, I think probably the only thing is put somebody out there to go through the trash and find out some envelope that's got a name on it.
But is this our responsibility?
I'm serious, because I did that at the end of Springy Pond Road. Yes!
I had the same issue when I first moved in down the end of Mill Lane.
Yes.
And I took advantage of our graphic arts department at Main Distributors and had a great big sign put up indicating that trash pickup was Monday morning.
Yeah.
Don't bring your trash down until Monday morning. And then I took it upon myself to go through people's trash. And after I was ridiculed, called the trash police. And once I took people's trash back and put it on their porch a couple of times, the problem went away. That was 10 years ago.
Yeah.
We don't have an issue anymore.
Yeah, me too. Did that quite a while ago. Okay. Teresa, I'm sorry.
I put my stuff out there early in the morning on a Monday morning, and if they don't come by till 10, those darn crows can shred almost anything. So even if you do get there in time and do your thing, it is something to consider. Maybe some kind of a bin.
I don't have a clue where this is, so I don't know how many places there are on Brooks Lane. I mean, it looks like a fair amount of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 trash cans here, but that doesn't mean anything.
It's about 10 families.
10 families? Yeah? Okay.
Can we build them a screened-in trash container so they can just like...
No, I think certainly we can put it in our newsletter. Yeah.
They need to put their trash in containers that have covers, lock covers on them, so that.
Have we? Okay. All right. So conversation is, do I have a motion to contact these people that may be involved? I don't know who they are on Getchell Road and Brooks Lane or wherever that is.
Is this a town road or?
Yes, it is. So it's our Monday trash pickup. Yeah.
Yeah.
Getchell Road's the town road.
Yeah.
Brooks Lane is not, but they put it out. Yeah, I can give you the.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay. When you have that, then we'll draft a letter or whoever to send to them, and if they have any questions, they can call, and it wouldn't hurt to put in a newsletter again as well, just to
Because I've seen on
remind
Scotts Point
people.
Road similar situation where corner of two roads and it's kind of messy, so it'd be in the newsletter. Is there a motion though for?
Do we have a motion?
I make a motion that the people
Thank you.
that live on Brooks Lane be contacted, and the concern expressed that their trash is being screwed all over the yards, and that they need to put them in closed containers to to prevent the birds from getting in them.
The morning of trash pickup, not the night before, because that was one thing JT said to me was really
One thing that was
important. A lot of
in
people
trash,
don't know. Yeah,
Yeah,
covered
it's a bit-
containers.
log covers, the
Yep.
birds wouldn't get them in there.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, Julie seconded. All those in favor? Okay, next on the list, we have two more guests. We have Clifton Task Force. This is a written objection to the order by the Select Board to put the revised land use ordinance vote out on July 1 to be presented to the clerk. The objection is under MRS 30A, Section 2528, subsections 4D and 5. Focus will be on the statutory process. Jess, you want to speak for 5 minutes on this?
Oh, sure, I can read it.
I'd rather you didn't read it. You just kind of synopsize it if you can. If you can read it in 5 minutes, you can. We really need to adhere to that.
I don't think this is any longer than a couple minutes. 20 pages. This objection is filed under MRS 30A, section 2528, subsections 4D and 5. The citizen petitioners ask that the Clifton Select Board take steps to remedy the situation caused by the town's failure to act in good faith and responsibly prepare for the attended vote of the revised land use ordinance on June 10, 2014. Here's the situation. Clifton residents put together a petition under the presumption that the planning board would follow through with this plan advertised through website postings, mailings, newsletters out of the office, backed up by nearly weekly planning board meetings drafting and debating since the 1st of January, to bring a revised land use ordinance to Clifton voters on the June election day referendum. The Clifton petitioners contemplated the possibility of both their amendment and the revised land use ordinance with less strict setback passing on the same day, to ensure that there would be no legal confusion over which setback for the voters was the voters' choice, the one in the petition or the one in the revised land use ordinance. The petitioners, acting in good faith, included a clause to address that eventuality. Through no fault of the petitioners, once the citizen petition was turned in and verified, the town's plan for a revision vote was short-circuited by the planning board's failure to make a timely filing and the select board to make a timely order. They basically missed the statutory 45-day deadline by 10 days or so. Was this intentional or wasn't it? One must assume not, but as they put out a press release on April 29th stating that there would be a vote on June 10th. The town now plans to vote on the revised land use ordinance on July 1st instead of June 10th. Whether by accident or by design, the petition amendment was put into a disadvantaged, potentially no-win position by the town's failure to act in good faith. If the failure to act was an oversight, the town needs to make it right by either postponing the petition vote until the day of the land use ordinance vote, or by providing a legal evidence that ensures that the affirmative vote on the petition amendment would not be vacated by an affirmative land use ordinance vote 3 weeks hence. The intention of the petitioners was clear: give the voters a choice on setbacks. With the two votes on the same day, the proposed amendment language gave voters that clear choice. That choice should not be taken away from the town's failure to follow through on their repeated, long-standing, declared intention of putting the revised land use ordinance on the June primary vote day. Apparently, the missed deadline came to the attention of the planning board chairman on the afternoon of May 7th. This is according to statements made on May 8th by the chairman. What did the town officials do when they learned of this missed deadline? The scheduled planning board meeting for the evening lasted over 2 hours, and there was no mention of the potential derailment of their plans. As a matter of fact, and this is difficult to confirm, as the font of the projector was kept very small, the board abruptly and mysteriously agreed to change the header of the land use ordinance draft to effective July 1st, 2014. Also, a sentence was added at the same time, question, to the Article 1, Section 111, repealed of prior ordinances to make revisions apply to all prior versions and amendments, and no board member had a question or comment. The board then voted to send the approved draft of the land use ordinance to the select board for their action on the next day. This final draft was posted on the planning board website within 2 hours of the close of the meeting. And in the wee hours of the morning, May 8th, the planning board posted a second revised Article 1 with even more new language. In Article 1, Section 1.9, effective date, the phrase, "if none other is specified," was added. Deliberate acts were taken by the planning board without due process, and with the obvious result that the citizens petition amendment was put in a tenuous position in relation to the proposed revised land use ordinance. The petitioners acted in good faith and by the town. The actions of the planning board did not. There needs to be some kind of equitable resolution of the problem. Whether officials' actions were accidental or intentional, the town needs to remedy the situation in a mutual satisfactory way. Then the voters can be given a clear choice on which property line setbacks will be included in the land use ordinance. That was the intent of the petition amendment. The petitioners had actively participated in the revision process and had spoken several times over the weeks for greater setback distance, but their concerns and requests were dismissed by the planning board and no change was made to the land use ordinance for property lines. In order to get a vote out to the voters, the choice out to the voters, the petitioners allowed followed state statute and met all the deadlines and brought their amendment to the town. That amendment should not be allowed to become a moot point by the town's failure to act in the same responsible manner. Thank you for your attention to this situation and for our objection. We look forward to working with the board to find an equitable solution to the problem.
Good job. We will save discussion until the public access at the last part of the meeting. Paula, Council, objections concerning order for the land use vote. Focus on the wisdom of doing so, considering the legal pitfalls and administrative difficulties that may result from enactment of the revisions.
I object. Point of order.
Okay.
Point of order because I read through the entire thing, and I'm sure you have as well, and there is nothing at this meeting that pertains to the select board regarding the matter. There's a public hearing on May 27th, and this has nothing to do with administration. As the previous discussion clearly was a voting issue, this is clearly a planning board issue and a legislative issue for the voters to decide on July 1st.
Okay. Discussion? And yet, do we make a vote on your point of order? I'm not sure. I've never dealt with this one before.
I just don't feel, this is basically, to me, a dress rehearsal, a dry run of comments for the public hearing, and it hasn't been duly notified as a public hearing. There's nothing in there pertaining to process, like the previous one obviously pertained to voting process. This has nothing to do with voting process. Those comments have nothing at all with voting process.
Paula, you have a comment?
Yeah. What we're bringing to you tonight is addressing the select board's responsibility to put to the voters an ordinance that the select board can feel comfortable that if it is adopted by the town, that it will be enforceable, it will be workable, and we bring this to you tonight rather than the hearing. In the hearing, we'd like to discuss the parts of it which people can feel one way or another about, things that people can have different opinions about. What we're bringing you, what we brought to you in this document is things that that the town needs to know. If I vote for this, am I voting for something that is legally enforceable? Am I voting for something that will work better than what we have now? And that's why I pointed out in here at least one place where what's in there now is contrary to state statute.
There was already written information provided to the select board that they can duly action. And again, you know, if this discussion goes forward, I think it's more appropriate for the public hearing because of the specific nature. It's directed to the LUO. And if she wants to talk about it on the 27th, she's welcome to do so.
Well, one of the reasons we're bringing it to you tonight, rather than in the hearing, is that we're asking you to have the town attorney vet some of these provisions. He apparently did look at some of the retroactive provisions.
Question again, that was discussed on May 8th, the retroactivity, and she's continuing to editorialize regarding the matter, and I think it's turned into a public hearing regarding LUO.
My understanding from what was said previous to this is that Articles 2 and 14 were sent to Mr. Substack. if he did not get Article 6, then he doesn't know a lot of the changes that have been made, which have very great legal implications. And as a citizen of the town and as representing a group of citizens who have come together and want you to understand their concerns.
Ms. Kelso can easily encourage voters to vote no on July 1st. I encourage you to exercise your constitutional rights.
We'll be doing that, but we also
Outstanding.
feel that the select board guides us in our adopting ordinances, and they can have a separate outlook from the planning board, and they need to. They appoint the planning board, they have an obligation to make sure that that work is done properly. And that's what we're asking you to at least hear, take a look, and if you don't see anything there that surprised you or concerned you, fine.
The record of the point, Article 6 didn't change this in the middle of March, and if she had such objections, she had adequate time, and in fact, she did make many comments post March the 6th, as is evidenced on the website, and didn't address the questions that she brought up in this letter that she just wrote. So this particular section has been available for over 2 months.
Okay. Discussion among the planning board?
We did make a lot of comments during the process, and included it out. We didn't know until the very last couple of weeks exactly what was going to be in the document. A lot of the decisions were made right toward the end. So things that came up early, we did make comments at the time.
Chief complaint was Article 6, and now she's beating around the bush here.
Okay, I think we're done. Okay, can we make a decision here?
I'll say something.
Okay.
Every town has a planning board. Planning boards write ordinances. Then the town has a choice of either accepting or rejecting what they give. We had a petition for an amendment to the ordinance by Paula. We had 3 different lawyers look at it, and they all concurred that it was a legal nightmare. And it reeked of legal ramifications down the line. So, in saying that, any ordinance can be challenged. But towns have planning boards to write ordinances, and I believe that the ordinance that they write are the ones that should go to the town for vote.
I think also, too, we have not sat back and done nothing. We have tried to see what the relationship is between select board and planning board. We do appoint the planning board, but the planning board operates under their own rules to bring ordinances before the select board to be put out to be voted on by the town citizens. That means 700 and some odd citizens. For us to go back and review ordinances or look at what they are as a select board, I've read through every one of them. Do I know if it's right or wrong? Do I have an opinion? I leave that to my planning board. I think, and then to the town citizens to vote on that. It is a working document, I think, which were words that you had in your petition to begin with, that it is a document that is probably going to be there as a guideline, but forever change. And who's to say once this is voted in or up or down or wherever, there will be work progressing to change what doesn't work in the town. It's I don't think any different than when we started this back in 2006 or 7, writing an ordinance for this town. So I just feel that we need to put it before the voters. We've had guidance from attorneys. I have requested comment or guidance from our town attorney, who has not gotten back to me because this wasn't submitted until late. So I don't feel there's any way for us to act on this. The guidance that we had from attorneys on that day was there's a citizen's petition with X amount of names on it to expect that vote to be there. And if we now turned it into another date, we may have another bunch of people come in and say, you did something wrong. So I feel we are always in a no-win situation, and we as a town have to make a decision. And that decision needs to be for every single person in this town, not a group, not a party, not a whatever, every single person in this town. So I would like to have a vote, if we need a vote, to have this information go to public hearing. If not, then I don't know that we need a vote. Well, let's have one just because we can.
Who's going to make the motion? I guess I can make a motion, but I don't know what I'm going to make. I move that we accept this from Paula. We've all read it, and we have made a decision that we will take the planning board's land use ordinance amendments to the town
Public hearing.
as is, to a public hearing, and they can make comments at that time.
Do I have a second? All those in favor? Any opposed? Okay. All right. Mr. Fuller, Pisgah Mountain comments on the second permit application on file with the town. 5 minutes.
Goes that way. Don't start that yet. I haven't started talking.
Wait till you talk. All right, you got it. Hit it.
All right, the first one says Eaton Peabody at the top. That has, I wanted legal information on where we stood with the second permit application, and also to deal with the accusations regarding the meeting that we had up at the church. So you can read through that. That was addressed to me from my attorney, but it's really good legal information. That's not the one I'm going to read to you, though. The next one is the task force objections citing 30 AMRS 25, 28, 4D, and 5. You got that one?
Got it.
Okay. Reasons why the task force's objection should be denied. An objection is not available for a referendum question. Number 1. 30 AMRS 2528 provides that objections can be filed relating to petitions for candidates. It is inapplicable to referendum questions. Note 30 AMRS 2528-5 only incorporates the nomination filing deadlines. It does not incorporate any other non-filing provisions such as objections, which is what they're presenting, an objection. Even if an objection can be made, it should be denied. Why? Number 1, substance of objection is the scheduling of a petition vote on June 10th. Note the petition requested to be on June 10th ballot. 2, task force's objection to their own petition is untimely on this basis, as the task force was required to submit any objections at least 43 days prior to June 10th election date, which was April 28. 3. Petition vote cannot be postponed. Absentee ballots are printed, which would mean voters would be voting on different articles if the town attempted to postpone the vote on only a few selected articles on the ballot. Number 4, moreover, MMA Town Meeting Manual recommends the following, quote, generally speaking, it is inadvisable to cancel, postpone, or advance the date of a secret ballot election once it has been scheduled. This is because doing so will usually wreak havoc on all other statutory deadlines pertaining to secret ballot elections, including nomination papers and absentee ballot availability and filing deadlines. Town Meeting and Election Manual, page 39. To the extent the objection is made to the special town meeting scheduled on July 1st, it should be denied. Number 1, there is no legal obligation by the selectmen to hold a vote on the revised land use ordinance public planning board version on any particular date. The task force assumed it would occur on June 10th. That is the risk of their own assumption when crafting their own petition language. 2, if the task force wishes to provide comments on the planning board revision to the LUO amendments, a public hearing has already been scheduled for that purpose. 3, to the extent that the task force objects to the July 1st special town meeting scheduled on the planning board land use ordinance amendments, there's no basis for such an objection. 4, under Maine law, the selectmen have the sole authority to decide what articles to place on a warrant except for articles arising by petition, and the selectmen have honored that request and placed them on the June 10th ballot as requested. 5, further, under Maine law, the selectmen have discretion on when to schedule a special town meeting, and they have exercised that discretion, and the process is underway. I wanted you to have the legal side of this petition and everything that Paula said earlier, and I'm appalled that she can get up there and cast this kind of light on the planning board as manipulative, as dishonest. It's unbelievable to me that she can do that.
First Amendment.
All of these documents, I would like to just make note to please record, have available for people that would like to have them from the town and part of this town minute meeting as well. Okay.
Do I get to slip in?
What?
Was I slipped in on the agenda or not?
You were not on the agenda on Friday when it was posted.
I left you a message yesterday.
So I have to wait till the end.
Yep,
Okey
absolutely.
dokey.
Absolutely. It's always a Friday before the meeting, Teresa. I'm sorry that didn't happen. Planning board report minutes. Recommendation from the planning board on the citizens petition from Paula Kelso and Jessica Gray that is on the June 10th vote. Eric Johns will be here to answer questions. Eric, would you like to say anything to that?
Not really, we just, we carried on the vote, we voted all not to pass, and there's a report, you gave the report, right, Bruce?
Yes.
Yeah, we mailed in that report, you should all have that report that Bruce wrote for why we came to that conclusion.
Yeah, okay.
That's it, unless you have any other questions.
Make a motion that we accept the reports from the planning board.
Which one is the actual report? Because I have all kinds of documents here.
Yeah,
I'm not sure what is for what.
There should be one that,
Like
there's,
a header or something, the topic.
did you put a header on that one? I'll have a copy of
Say
it.
response of the May 19, 2014 letter from the Clifton Task Force. I'm assuming that's the one.
So did you have, it's the one for Bruce?
Yeah,
I
No, I
this
have-
one here is from Bruce Jellison himself.
Bruce, go up there and make sure you have the
This one
right
here
one.
is-
Bruce will be right up and make sure you have the right one.
But this one says response of the May 19. This is of his own comments.
That was just comments on the objections.
Oh, that's
That one is a lot of confusion.
Isn't this the one?
No, this was for me personally commenting on the,
What's this one says? Comments on PCA's objection.
that's right, that's the, on the callers, personal. Where is the one?
I don't know.
Okay,
I don't have that.
did you make a copy of it? Remember, that was the one that I turned in last Monday? Yeah, right after, well, actually, it wasn't last Friday, right after the meeting.
Did you submit two letters in response to the objections? Are there two separate documents?
Yes,
Okay,
that's personal
That's
to
for,
the objection.
That's for the end.
and then
I don't see it, I don't know.
oh,
what-
that's that.
Yes, but the actual report is like 3 pages
Yeah.
at the beginning of it.
Do you want me to bring all that stuff, all of it?
Do you have it, Eric? Do you have it, was there a report that was to be submitted? Is that big
That is
whole
these, well, the whole thing is all
from after the meeting? Yeah,
The actual report that we.
It's only like 3 pages.
yeah,
It's a
okay.
3-page
I
report.
think she just buried it in the, she put it in the vault for protection.
Oh,
and
sorry about
probably
that.
put the papers in there as well, but she'll get that and present it.
So.
Actually, I'll make sure she gets
Oh,
it.
that's the objection. I mean, I have one from the planning board and one from Bruce Jellison.
That's for later this act, that's for, I think at the tail end. We were just handed these today, so I think this,
So we are gonna.
I think
go
this
back
will
over all
come.
the
I think
objections?
this will come at the end with public access, or maybe they're just for our knowledge. We'll wait until we get to that. Okay.
Madam Chair, could I ask you to make a correction publicly? The Bangor Daily News legal notice of the vote incorrectly said that it would retroactively apply to applications before August 1st instead of after. I brought that to Debbie's attention. She said she sent it off just as it was written, but the Bangor Daily and posting it
That is,
changed the wording.
Oh, I
So
wasn't
I
aware of
just
that.
want to make sure that people know that was inadvertent. It says,
The date that was on your petition, that's the August that you're talking about?
yes.
Okay,
I'm not gonna cut through everything.
yeah, okay.
This is
all right.
all material that supports.
Okay, so we'll have them do a correction.
And not always one of her articles, she also made that same mistake. I sent her a notice that she made the mistake. I don't know, she didn't correct it in any way that I know of. I don't know, I don't read the paper.
I don't either, I don't know.
Yeah, but it's to make sure that I checked with Debbie, the warrant article is worded properly. It was in the legal notice.
Right?
Did they change the dates incorrect or the before or after, correct?
No, they inverted it.
Yeah.
They inverted it?
They inverted it, and they indicated in the article that it was, would be retroactive before, rather than from the date. Anything.
Won't they correct that if we
Yeah.
call
I
and
think
ask
so, it
them
was
to?
quite an error.
Yeah, okay, all right. Okay,
But everything else is correct, that was everything.
okay, all right, so we'll just make sure that we call and have them correct that notice.